Paolo Banchero just had the game of the year in the NBA so far. 37 at halftime, ends with 50, 13, and 9 in a win at home against the Indiana Pacers. And Paolo is such an interesting player to me. He's such a divisive player where I still feel like a lot of fans don't even really know if he's actually that good or not. Now with this game specifically, Franz Wagner ends up leaving early with an illness. I think he was questionable coming into the game with an illness, leaves early, doesn't really play that much. And so everything is just on Paolo, and then a little bit of Jalen Suggs as well. And after the outstanding first half where he finishes the first half making 3 threes in a row, slows down in the second half, but they end up winning the game. And this is just the perfect example of everything that Paolo can be as a player. And by the way, he's still like 21, 22 years old. But before we talk about the game, I want to go back quickly to pre-draft with Paolo, because there were a lot of conversations around the top 3 in that draft, right? It was Paolo, it was Chet Holmgren, and it was Jabari Smith. And for a lot of the process, Jabari Smith looked like the first overall pick because people saw this upside with him where he had individual offensive creation a little bit in college. He could guard all 5 positions, so much versatility. And Paolo was seen as maybe a bit of a higher floor kind of player, but didn't quite have that high ceiling of what, Jabari could be or what Chet Holmgren could be. And even going into the night of the draft, the assumption was that Jabari was going to go first. And then all of a sudden they're drafting Paolo, Chet goes second, now Jabari goes third. And I think as of right now, that is certainly the correct order. And it's interesting to think about what Jabari would have looked like in this Orlando situation. And I think the situation in Orlando is one of the things that prevents people from really understanding just how good Paolo is. Because when you look at some of the advanced numbers for Paolo throughout his career, in terms of shot quality, in terms of efficiency, he is not a super efficient offensive player. And in the postseason last year, there were some very inefficient games, not only for him, but for the Magic offensively as a team. But when you actually watch the games and evaluate him as a player, he is unbelievable. This is what they drafted him for. Of those 3 guys, him, Chet, Jabari, the question was, who's the franchise guy? Who's the guy that could become the cornerstone piece, the individual offensive player that you need, the creator that you need? And that guy was always Paolo, and that's why they took him first. Chet projected as this super, super high-level role player with upside to maybe be an all-star, and same thing for Jabari. But Paolo was the guy that, even though he wasn't seen as this super high-ceiling player, he seemed more of a high-floor player. His skill set, if it developed properly, put him in this like Carmelo Anthony kind of range of what he could be as a franchise cornerstone. And he's kind of already there for Orlando. His blend of size and skill and physicality is just so difficult for teams to match up with on a night-to-night basis. And this game was a perfect example. He can pretty much get to the rim whenever he wants to. Now, sometimes he gets fouled, other times he doesn't. He doesn't always make the correct decision. But if he decides, I would like to go to the rim on this possession, most teams do not have a matchup that can prevent him from getting there. It's not exactly like Giannis, because Giannis is like 7'1", but it's kind of that same inevitability of if Paolo wants to go to the rim, he will get to the rim. But in this game, it was a lot of the in-between stuff, a lot of stuff that people don't like about his game. Some of the mid-range stuff where he's jab stepping 3 times and then pulling up over someone in the mid-post. There was a lot of, pull up twos, pull up long twos. People don't like that about his game. But what you have to understand is in a different offensive scenario, I think Paolo's game would be even more expanded. And as good as Orlando is, especially defensively, this is still not a situation that is super conducive to really efficient offense from a primary creator like Paolo Banchero. Jalen Suggs has been awesome shooting the ball at the beginning of the year this year. KCP has not. And then other than that, it's like Franz, who's been shooting well to start the year, but isn't necessarily someone that you're concerned about from behind the three-point line. Paolo isn't a great three-point shooter. There's not a lot of spacing there in Orlando in terms of the 7 or 8 guys that play the most. And so when he's settling for these twos, these long twos and the pull-ups, or if he's trying to get to the mid-post and hit some fadeaways, a lot of it is because he just doesn't have the space to actually create high-level efficient offense, yet he's still able to put up incredible performances like this one. And the biggest improvement for him last year and coming into this season was his passing and his vision, because in college, the tunnel vision stuff was crazy for Paolo. Like, he would look off teammates like there weren't even there. It wasn't quite Cam Thomas level, but it was kind of close, where he knew, I need to score, I need to score, I need to score. And his mindset never shifted towards, oh, let me kick it out to this guy, let me look for someone else. He had such tunnel vision. And I felt like the passing vision was there. Like, I felt like he knew that people were open. He just wasn't a willing passer in college. And as a rookie, a lot of that stuff was there too. And sometimes he still gets into that some, but he improved so much as a passer last year. And in this game as well, there's some really nice playmaking things from him, which he's going to have to do because it's him and Franz. They don't have, this traditional guard that's going to create everything offensively. And neither Franz nor Paolo are these like Luka level guys that are just going to be able to get you a good shot every time down the floor. Like, they have to be good passers, and he's really improved in that area. And in this matchup specifically, you could just see everything come together for him. The Pacers just do not have anybody to guard him. They tried to put Siakam on him, and he started hitting every mid-range jumper. That wasn't working. They tried Obi Toppin. They tried Isaiah Jackson. They tried Miles Turner. His blend of size and skill is just unbelievably difficult to deal with. And I think that play style combined with the offensive environment in Orlando continues to make it difficult for people to really fully appreciate how good Paolo is, because a lot of the basketball analysis has come down to there's so many games you can't possibly watch all the games. And so you pull up the numbers and you look at some of the advanced stuff and you look at shot quality, you look at efficiency. Paolo does not play a style that is conducive to just looking at the advanced numbers and thinking, oh, he's a really good offensive player. It's just not going to look like that, at least not at this point in his career. Maybe down the road it will. Maybe he'll become this really good pull-up three-point shooter, and then he'll get to the rim even more, get to the free throw line even more. But right now, he has to exist in this kind of long to mid-post kind of area. And he's still incredibly effective with it despite not a great offensive environment around him. And you also have to keep in mind, he's still so young. He's still improving. This whole team is still going to continue to grow and improve over the next couple of years. And if you tell me that Paolo is pushing for one of the best players in the conference in a year, 2 years, 3 years, I would not be surprised at all. And by the way, the youth thing is true for the other guys in the class as well. I'm not trying to say that Jabari can never improve from here, that Chet can't be an all-star or maybe even a franchise cornerstone level player in the future. But in terms of we need someone to score for us, we need someone to create for us, it's clear that Paolo has become that guy from that draft class. And I think I'm especially a fan of him and of the Magic because there's this thing that happens right now in the NBA where pretty much every team plays the exact same way. It's ball screen at the top, it's attack, kick out, try to get to the rim, free throws, everybody's trying to get threes. And when you put on a Magic game, there's a lot of that. Like, just obviously in these highlights, a lot of this stuff is out of ball screen creation. He's hitting pull-up twos, he hit a couple of pull-up threes towards the end of the first half. So there is still a lot of similarities there. But Orlando plays this bully ball style that is very, very different from what a lot of teams do. And I think there's part of me that really appreciates that, just having something different to watch because all these other teams play so similarly. And I think a lot of that comes from the way that Paolo plays. And in the future, I know we always say this about guys that are big and have size and skill. If Paolo ends up being either a good pull-up three-point shooter, a good off-ball three-point shooter, if he figures out the three, good luck. Like, there just will not be a way to stop him because the only way that teams can really cause him to be inefficient right now is play off him on the long twos and hope that he misses them, or force him into these contested kind of mid-range twos in the paint or just outside of the paint and hope that he misses those. That's the only range on the floor that really they can do anything with him, and they're only able to do that because they know they can back off him, allow him to get into those spots because he's not going to be a threat necessarily from three. But if he figures that part out, then the sky is truly the limit, not only for him, but for this Magic team. They're going to continue to add spacing. Guys like Franz are going to continue to get better as shooters. They're going to get better at the 5 spot. For a team that's already as good defensively as they are, and for a team that already has 2 foundational players, and not only Paolo, but also Franz. I love Franz as well. There's this combination of size and physicality and defense and skill and hopefully down the road shooting, which it feels like the Magic for 15 years have needed more shooting. All of that stuff together creates this really, really scary up and coming team in the Eastern Conference. And I truly believe that, like, if you ask me right now, would I rather have, the future of the Pacers, for example, down the road, or the future of the Magic? I would definitely rather have the Magic. And a lot of that has to do with the team, the infrastructure, the defense, the coach, but also Paolo Banchero as potentially one of the best players in the Eastern Conference over the next couple of seasons.